Imagine your life as an hourglass, with each grain of sand representing a precious moment. But how many moments have you let slip by without even noticing? In this video, we will explore how to stop wasting time and start living more fully. From practicing mindfulness to the art of saying no, we will discover ways to optimize our time. And the last tip might surprise you. We'll also discuss how to stop overthinking and free yourself from mental stagnation, helping you become ready to embrace change. Before we dive into the main content, if you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Rise Up and hit the notification bell to get the latest videos. Let's get started. The time. Have you ever thought that time is like the last slice of pizza at a party? Everyone craves it, but no one can make more of it? That's right. Let's talk about the most precious asset each of us has, time. Sounds funny, doesn't it? It's interesting to realize that we tend to spend more time deciding what to watch on Netflix than planning our lives and focusing on important matters. But don't worry, you're not the only one. A study from Stanford University shows that the average American spends about 2 hours and 22 minutes per day on social media. Can you imagine how much you could accomplish with that time? You could learn a new language, write a book, or even come up with a way to beat boredom if there's a formula for that. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said that the problem is not that we have too little time, but that we waste it. And he was absolutely right. Imagine this. If we lived to be 80 years old, we would spend about 26 years sleeping, 13 years working, and 8 years watching TV. Surprising, isn't it? I was also stunned when I heard that. But all hope is not lost. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo, known for the Stanford Prison Experiment, has spent much of his career studying how we perceive time. According to him, the key is to develop a balanced perspective on time. Cherish the past, live fully in the present, and plan for the future. Sounds appealing, right? But don't worry, you don't need to become a meditation master overnight. So why is time so valuable? It's simple. No one can make more of it. As a time machine remains a dream, time is equal for everyone. We all have 24 hours a day, no matter who you are, whether it's me or a star like Beyoncé. The difference lies in how each person uses that time. Neuroscientist David Eagleman discovered that our brain's perception of time changes depending on what we're doing. When we're bored, time can crawl like a snail. But when we're excited and having fun, time seems to fly. The solution is to fill our days with meaningful and stimulating activities. And surprisingly, a study from Harvard University shows that people who invest their time in experiences rather than material things tend to feel happier. So, the next time you're about to buy a gadget, think about whether it would be better to invest in a trip or a new course. So how should we start using our time wisely? Begin by stopping the countdown to the end of the workday and instead count the opportunities each day brings for personal growth. Instead of complaining that you don't have enough time, ask yourself, am I spending time on what truly matters? Remember, time is like a boomerang. What you do today will affect you tomorrow. So use your time wisely, my friend. And if it feels too difficult, don't worry. Nothing perfect is built in a day, not even your life. But hey, why not start today? Because the best time to plant a seed was 20 years ago, and the next best time is now. The power of purpose. Have you ever felt like your life is like a small boat drifting in the ocean, not knowing where its destination lies? Don't worry, you are not alone. Many of us have felt like we are floating without a specific direction. But what if I told you that you could find your way? Get ready to discover the power of living with purpose. Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, known not only for his impressive mustache, but also for his revolutionary ideas about living fully, introduced the concept of individuation. Don't mistake it for a new diet or a challenging yoga pose. It is the process of becoming the best version of yourself. Imagine you are a seed, and your purpose is the sunlight that helps you blossom. But how do you find that purpose? According to Jung, it has always been inside you, just waiting for you to discover. Like searching for a lost key, you will eventually find it in the place you least expected. Finding your life's purpose is like turning on a light in a dark room. Everything becomes clearer, and you know exactly where to go. It's like having an internal GPS guiding you in every decision you make. Think of Steve Jobs, the creator of the iPhone. He found his purpose and didn't just change his own life, but also impacted millions of others. And that purpose wasn't just for us to sit in front of touchscreens all day. Or like Malala Yousafzai, the young Pakistani girl who found her purpose in fighting for the right to education and became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Purpose can grant you extraordinary power, but it doesn't mean you have to change the entire world to find it. Sometimes a purpose can be as simple as being a good parent or doing good in your community. Jung believed that each person has a unique role to play in the world, like in a grand play where everyone has their own role. It would be a pity if you remained behind the scenes, wouldn't it? Finding your life's purpose is not like ordering a pizza delivery. It doesn't arrive quickly or for free. It takes time, reflection, and sometimes a bit of trial and error. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first you might fall a few times, but once you get used to it, you'll experience a sense of endless freedom. Jung taught that life's purpose isn't something imposed from the outside, but something we need to discover within. It's like a hidden treasure within each person, and our task is to unearth it. So are you ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery? Remember, it's not about rushing to reach a destination, but about enjoying the journey itself. Along the way, you might realize that your purpose is simply to live a truly meaningful life. As Jung once said, the meaning of life is to find meaning within it. So don't look for your purpose in superficial things, but look deep within your soul. Who knows, you might discover amazing things you never imagined. 3. Mindfulness. Have you ever felt like you were physically present in one place, but your mind was drifting somewhere else? Welcome to the fascinating world of mindfulness, a skill that helps you live in the present moment. Don't worry, you don't need to open a third eye or meditate on a mountaintop to master this skill. Imagine your mind as a mischievous monkey, always jumping from one thought to another. Mindfulness is like teaching that monkey to sit still and observe its surroundings. Sounds easy, but in reality, it's not. However, the effort is definitely worth it. Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn, a pioneer of mindfulness in the West, describes it as intentionally paying attention to the present moment without judgment. Imagine it as giving your brain a break from its usual chaotic thoughts. And trust me, your brain will be very grateful. But mindfulness is not just about relaxing. A study from Harvard University shows that we spend nearly 47% of our time thinking about things unrelated to what we're doing. Can you imagine how many experiences have slipped by while your mind was wandering elsewhere? So what are the benefits of practicing mindfulness? The list is quite long. Reduce stress, improve focus, enhanced creativity, and a better mood. And while there's no research proving it makes you look better, who knows, right? An article in Psychological Science shows that those who practice mindfulness regularly have better emotional regulation. It's like having a remote control for your emotions. Can you imagine turning down the volume on your anxieties or turning up the volume on your joy? Of course, not everything is easy. Mindfulness requires patience and practice. Think of it like exercising for your mind. At first, it may feel uncomfortable and unnatural, but over time, you'll start to see clear benefits. Want to try a small exercise? Close your eyes for a few minutes and focus on your breathing. Count to 10 deep inhales and exhales. If your mind starts to wander, which it inevitably will, don't worry, just acknowledge it and bring your focus back to your breathing. Sounds simple, right? But to master it, you'll need time and perseverance. The famous psychologist Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Mindfulness is like an alarm clock that helps you become aware of the moments you're living, allowing you to savor each one as if it were the last bite of your favorite dessert. Remember, mindfulness is not about eliminating all thoughts from your mind. That's like trying to stop a dog from chasing its tail. Instead, it's about being aware of your thoughts without letting them control you, like watching clouds drift across the sky without trying to catch them. Next time you find yourself lost in vague thoughts, ask yourself, am I truly present here? If the answer is no, take a deep breath and bring your mind back to the present. After all, it's the only place where you can truly live. 4. The art of saying no. Have you ever felt like your schedule is packed, like a crowded bus during rush hour? Welcome to the club of those who find it difficult to say no. But don't worry, today we'll learn how to set boundaries without feeling like we're letting the whole world down. Imagine your time as a cake, and every time you agree to do something, you are cutting away a slice of that cake. If you keep saying yes to every request, you'll soon run out of cake for yourself. And trust me, no one wants to run out of dessert at the party of life. The famous psychologist William James once said, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." And he was absolutely right. Knowing how to say no is a superpower in a world filled with constant demands and external pressures. But why is it so hard for us to say no? A study from the University of California shows that our brains tend to seek social approval. Saying yes makes us feel loved and accepted. However, in the long run, this can lead to burnout faster than a rocket to the moon. Of course, this doesn't mean we should become the no person in everyone's eyes. The key here is balance. The philosopher Aristotle once said that virtue lies in the middle ground. In this case, it's about balancing between being too accommodating and being too withdrawn. So how can we say no without feeling guilty? Here are a few tips. 1. The polite sandwich. Start with a compliment, say no, and end with something positive. For example, "I really appreciate you thinking of me for this project, but I'm not able to join at the moment. Wishing you all the best with it." 2. The deferred no. If you find it difficult to decline immediately, ask for some time to think. Say, "I need to give it some thought, and I'll get back to you." This will give you time to consider carefully and make the right decision. 3. The propositional no. If you can't fulfill a request, offer an alternative solution. For example, "I can't attend this event, but I can help you with someone else who might be a good fit." Remember, every time you say yes to a request, you're saying no to something else, perhaps time for yourself. Are you sure you're making the right choice? Writer Paulo Coelho once told a story about a king who dreamt of losing all his teeth and sought out a wise man for interpretation. The first wise man said, "That's terrible. Each tooth represents a family member, and you will lose them all." The king, furious, imprisoned him. The second wise man, after hearing the dream, said, "Good news, you will outlive all your family members." The king, pleased, rewarded him handsomely. The lesson here is that it's not just what we say, but how we communicate it. Learning to say no tactfully can change your life. So, the next time you feel pressured to say yes, just to please someone, remember that your time is invaluable. Use it wisely. As Steve Jobs once said, "I'm as proud of the things we haven't done as the things we have done." Sometimes what we don't do is more important than what we do. In short, learning to say no is like building a protective shield against the chaos and stress of life. It is the first step toward a more balanced and happier life. So, are you ready to use your new superpower? Remember, every time you say no to things that aren't truly important, you are saying yes to yourself and to what you truly value. And if your to-do list is always overflowing, try exploring the Eisenhower Matrix, a time management tool created by a former US president. It will help you navigate through your responsibilities more easily. Let's discover how it can change the way you handle tasks and make time for what truly matters. 5. The Eisenhower Matrix. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by a thick to-do list, like each day is a masquerade party where all the tasks are competing for your attention? Let's explore the Eisenhower Matrix, a simple yet effective tool that helps you categorize your tasks based on 2 criteria: urgency and importance. It's like a filter to identify who the VIP guests are and who the party crashers are. Quadrant 1. Important and urgent. These are the pressing tasks, like alarm bells, that demand immediate attention, things like crisis management or submitting overdue reports. They often cause stress, and the key here is not just to handle them, but to ask yourself, how can I prevent these from becoming urgent in the future? Quadrant 2. Important but not urgent. This is the realm of things that truly make a difference in your life. Long-term goals, personal growth, and planning for the future. Imagine it like planting a fruit tree. You can't expect it to bear fruit immediately, but the long-term investment will eventually yield a sweet harvest. Psychologist Abraham Maslow would call this the space where you grow and reach your full potential. Quadrant 3. Urgent but not important. This quadrant contains the frequent interruptions like phone calls or emails that require quick responses, but are not truly important. They are like having a parrot on your shoulder constantly squawking in your ear. Here, the key is learning how to delegate or minimize these distractions so you can focus on what matters more. Quadrant 4, not important and not urgent. This is where time-consuming activities that we often enjoy reside, scrolling through social media, binge-watching TV shows, or engaging in idle chatter. These are like desserts, sweet and enticing, but too much of them can be unhealthy. Don't cut them out entirely. Everyone needs a little time to relax, but make sure you're controlling them, not the other way around. So how do you apply the Eisenhower Matrix to your daily life? Start by listing out all your tasks, then categorize them into the corresponding quadrants. You might be surprised to find that many tasks you thought were urgent are actually not so urgent. A study from the University of California shows that people who know how to organize their tasks using methods like the Eisenhower Matrix experience a 23% reduction in stress and up to a 28% increase in productivity. Pretty impressive, right? But don't turn yourself into a workaholic. The philosopher Bertrand Russell once said, "The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time." So don't feel guilty if you occasionally spend time in quadrant 4. The key is balance. Here's a challenge for you. For the next week, try using the Eisenhower Matrix to organize your tasks. You'll find greater clarity about what's truly important in life. And who knows, you might even discover time to learn a new skill, like juggling or speaking Klingon. Once you know how to prioritize, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Remember, prioritizing isn't about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters. As Eisenhower himself said, what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. So the next time you feel pressured and overwhelmed, take a deep breath and ask yourself, which quadrant does this task belong to? Your future self will thank you for it. 6. The micro habits. Have you ever thought about moving a mountain? It sounds unrealistic, right? But what if I told you that you could change your life just by moving one pebble each day? Welcome to the magical world of micro habits. Simple actions, when repeated consistently, can lead to remarkable changes. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, shares that change doesn't happen overnight. Instead, it works like compound interest, but instead of in a bank account, it accumulates in your daily life. Each small action builds up to create significant transformation over time. Amazing, isn't it? But why are micro habits so effective? Think of our brain like a child. It tends to shy away from big changes due to their complexity and stress, but it's drawn to small wins. Every time you complete a micro habit, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. It's like giving yourself a small reward each day, and who doesn't like a reward? So how can we start building these micro habits into our lives? Here are 3 easy-to-implement ideas that you can start today. 1. The 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it right away. For example, if you see a dirty dish in the sink, wash it immediately. This rule is so simple that you have no excuse to procrastinate. 2. Read 1 page a day. Yes, just 1 page. It may sound small, but over time, it will help you finish several books each year. Who knows, you might become the most well-read person in your group, or at least have some interesting stories to share at gatherings. 3. Practice gratitude. Before going to bed, write down 1 thing you are grateful for each day. This could be as simple as, today I didn't get stuck in traffic. Over time, your perspective on life will gradually shift. And who knows, you might even start appreciating little things like waiting at a red light for giving you time to finish a podcast episode. Remember, the goal is not to become perfect immediately, but to make small progress every day. As the philosopher Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. In this case, it might be a small habit, but one that has the power to create lasting change. Psychologist B.J. Fogg, a habit research expert, believes that the key to building habits is to start with actions so small that you can't help but do them. Want to start exercising? Try beginning with just 1 squat a day. Sounds silly, doesn't it? But that's the start. The great thing is, these micro habits can create a ripple effect, leading you to do more. Maybe not running marathons yet, but certainly more than just that initial squat. So you don't need to move a mountain to change your life. You just need to move one pebble each day. Are you ready to start your micro-habit revolution? Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles or 1,000 positive habits starts today. Which pebble will you move first? 7. The importance of rest. Have you ever felt like your life is an endless race, where rest seems like an unattainable luxury? Get ready, because today we're going to dispel the myth that rest is a waste of time. And believe me, I speak from personal experience. Since starting this channel, I have spent countless sleepless nights, convinced that every minute of sleep was a wasted minute. Right now, as I record this video at 3:10 a.m., I still feel the burning passion to bring you the best possible content. But at what cost? Accumulated fatigue gradually disrupts our natural rhythm and, in the end, affects both productivity and health. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker put it clearly: sleep is the best medicine that Mother Nature has given us. And we are not the only ones facing this challenge. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung emphasized that rest is crucial for maintaining psychological balance. He believed that overwork can cause imbalance, just as excessive laziness can. But what makes us so busy that we overlook rest? A study from the University of Pennsylvania found that if you sleep only 6 hours a night for 2 weeks, it affects your brain in a way equivalent to staying awake for 2 consecutive nights. Imagine that. We think we're fine, but in reality, fatigue is quietly building up. You might be thinking, but I have too much to do. How can I possibly rest? I want to emphasize that rest is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who developed the theory of flow, believes that periods of rest are essential for achieving optimal creativity and productivity. And no, coffee is not the miracle cure that we often hope it to be. As comedian Jerry Seinfeld once joked, we are a society of caffeine addicts, trying to figure out why we can't sleep. So what can we do? I have started to rearrange my routines. I'm trying to shoot videos in the morning and ensure that I get 8 hours of sleep every night. Is it easy? Not at all. After getting used to working nights, returning to the habit of waking up early is truly a challenge. But as Benjamin Franklin once said, early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And rest isn't just about sleep. It's also about relaxing, taking time off, and allowing your mind to wander freely. Psychologist Scott Barry Kaufman points out that some of our most creative moments come when we aren't focused on any particular task. So the next time you feel guilty about taking time to rest, remember that you aren't wasting time. You're investing in your future health and productivity. As philosopher Bertrand Russell once said, the time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. Allow yourself to rest and enjoy those moments of relaxation. 8. Meaningful relationships. Have you ever wondered why some people always seem to radiate joy and happiness, while others feel like they are struggling with daily life? Perhaps the answer isn't something distant, but lies within your relationships. Imagine that your life is a garden. Meaningful relationships are the most vibrant and precious flowers you can plant in it. But how do we care for and nurture these special flowers so they can shine brightly in the garden of our lives? Psychologist Abraham Maslow placed relationships at the center of his hierarchy of human needs, and this was not by chance. A famous 75-year study from Harvard University found that close relationships are the most important factor for a happy and healthy life. Surprising, isn't it? It turns out the key to a fulfilling and meaningful life is closer than we think. But how can we cultivate and maintain these relationships sustainably? Psychologist John Gottman, known as the marriage guru, has made some interesting discoveries about relationships. He believes that the key lies in small, daily moments of connection, the little but sincere gestures when we are with each other. It's not about grand actions, but about being truly present, listening, and empathizing. So how can we strengthen our relationships? Here are some suggestions that might help you. 1. Practice active listening. Instead of thinking about what you will say next, truly focus on the person in front of you and try to understand what they are sharing. 2. Show gratitude. Sometimes a simple, heartfelt thank you can strengthen your relationships more than you think. 3. Create shared routines. Daily activities like family dinners or regular calls with a close friend can help build long-lasting bonds. 4. Be open and share. Sharing your hopes and worries can create deeper and more genuine connections. Philosopher Martin Buber spoke about the power of sincere encounters between people. According to him, it is in these moments of true connection that we find the real meaning of life. And we cannot forget the impact of technology on relationships. Social media can make it easier to connect with friends, but psychologist Sherry Turkle warns that we can easily confuse virtual connection with real conversation. So instead of just sending an emoji, consider making a call or meeting in person. Direct contact helps create stronger and more meaningful relationships. Remember, nurturing relationships is not a chore, but an art. As the poet Rumi once said, "Beyond ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there." That field is where true relationships exist, where we can be ourselves without fear. So the next time you feel overwhelmed and pressured by life, remember that the solution might be right next to you, in the people you love and cherish. Start nurturing those meaningful relationships today, because your life's garden deserves the most beautiful flowers. 9. Building a legacy. Have you ever wondered what kind of mark you will leave on this world after you're gone? Let's explore the fascinating topic of legacy and how to live a life that truly matters. Reflecting on your own legacy is not an act of vanity. Rather, it is a powerful tool that helps us find meaning and direction in our lives. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung once said, "The unlived life is a disease from which one can die." These words urge us to ask ourselves, are we living fully or merely existing? Imagine for a moment that you're at the end of your journey, looking back on your life. What do you see? What stories will people tell about you? What impact, big or small, have you left on this world? This visualization exercise, recommended by psychologists like Martin Seligman, can help us recognize what truly matters and inspire us to live a more meaningful life. A person's legacy doesn't have to be grand achievements or monumental statues. It often lies in the small but meaningful actions of everyday life. A study from the University of Rochester found that those who focus on intrinsic goals, such as personal growth and building meaningful relationships, tend to feel happier and more fulfilled than those who prioritize fame or wealth. So how can we begin to build a meaningful legacy? The Roman philosopher Seneca once advised, "Begin living now and treat each day as a separate life." This idea reminds us to cherish every moment and every encounter, as they are the ways in which we leave our mark. A useful exercise is to write your own obituary. It may sound a bit morbid, but it's not as grim as you might think. This exercise, popularized by psychologist Alfred Adler, helps clarify what truly matters to us and our goals. Think about it. What would you like your obituary to say? What achievements would make you feel that you've lived a fulfilling life? Legacy isn't an abstract concept. It's how we live each day, what we share with those around us, and the values we leave behind. It could be heartfelt advice, a small act of kindness, or simply the love and care you give to your family and friends. When we think about our legacy, we are not just thinking about a distant future, but also about the actions we take today. Ultimately, contemplating our legacy not only helps us live more meaningfully, but also makes our lives richer and more complete. So why not start today? Live each day as if it were a part of the legacy you are leaving behind. Because in those small moments, you are building a unique mark that only you can create. 10. How to stop overthinking. Have you ever wondered why time sometimes seems to slow down when you experience something new? Neuroscientist David Eagleman has proposed an intriguing theory about how our brains perceive time and form memories. According to him, when we encounter novel experiences, our brains record more details, making time feel longer. In contrast, when we fall into familiar routines, time seems to fly by because our brains have become accustomed to processing repeated information. The lesson here is that if we want to live a meaningful life, we should constantly seek new experiences and challenge ourselves. But this doesn't mean you have to strive for perfection. As humanistic psychologist Carl Rogers once said, "The good life is a process, not a state of being." Living a meaningful life is about continuous growth, learning, and making positive changes in your life and in the lives of those around you. A long-term study from Harvard University one of the longest studies in history on adult development, has shown that close relationships are the most important factor for a happy and meaningful life. When thinking about your legacy, ask yourself, how can you build and strengthen those relationships? Your legacy begins with the actions and decisions you make today. Philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "The purpose of life is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference, that you have lived and lived well." So what story do you want your life to tell? What difference do you want to make in this world? These questions can help you start the journey toward a truly meaningful life. Remember, it's not about what you leave behind after you're gone. It's about how you live each day. Sometimes, we get caught up in pursuing grand achievements and overlook the value of small yet meaningful actions. We often find ourselves trapped in endless cycles of overthinking, analyzing every decision to the point of putting pressure on ourselves. But the truth is, overthinking is one of the biggest thieves of happiness. We'll soon release a video dedicated to this topic, but for now, let me share a secret. Action is the key. Thoughtful reflection is important, but thinking without action changes nothing. We need action, movement, and the courage to take the first step. Psychologist William James once said, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." This means that not everything deserves your time and attention. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one. Imagine your life as a large blank canvas. Will you spend hours deciding which color to use, or will you start painting and let things unfold naturally? We often make things more complicated than they need to be. If someone bothers you, why not address it directly? If you like someone, why not express your feelings? You'd be surprised at how much time and stress you can save by being honest and direct. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "My time is worth gold," so I know who the ones are that watched the entire video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to receive more content like this in the future. Share this video with those who might find it helpful, and consider supporting the channel by becoming a member.